Good morning, Abundant Life Church. This is Pastor Chris. Today we're going to continue our study on John chapter 15, verses 1 down through 11. Now, when we left off, Jesus was talking about his very famous metaphor, I am the vine, you are the branches. That's so easy to understand. He throws in that part about ask God for anything and he'll give it to you. And right away we think, oh, that's prosperity gospel. It's true. God wants us to be rich. Just ask for it. That's not what he's saying. But our real question is, why do we have so much trouble staying on track with Jesus when he's really not teaching hard things? If this metaphor is so easy to understand, why do we have so much trouble understanding it and actually carrying it out? Are we purposely choosing to disobey Jesus? Are we telling him, you know what? I don't care what you say. I'm going to do it my way. No, I don't think so. No one thinks we shouldn't make disciples. No one thinks that we should just ignore sin. Open defiance has never been the problem. We all agree on what we should do and how we should do it. We should stay tapped into Jesus. We just don't end up doing it like we should, and that's the problem. Most people agree that laws are good. Now, you shouldn't commit armed robbery. Well, that's good, yeah. All right. There's lots of good laws out there. I like the armed robbery one. Most of us agree that laws should be obeyed. Okay. And most people say, well, I obey the laws. Okay, that's great. How fast did you drive to work this morning? How fast did you drive to church last Sunday? Yeah, don't worry, I do the same thing. Why is that one so hard to keep? Speed limits. You see, could it be that the reason we don't obey Jesus is that his agenda is just impossible? Most people agree, yeah, it's stuff that we should obey. Most say that they obey the laws, but it, it doesn't seem possible. We can't do it. Well, actually, we can. We can obey Jesus. We can know his will. We can stay tapped into his will. It's just a matter of figuring out why we don't and then trying to change that so that we start doing things his way. So, what is his way? What's the way to understand this? What's the real problem with the inability of so many followers of Jesus to keep what's a very simple and very sensible plan? Just stay tapped into him. Well, I want to focus on the church as a whole. Yes, churches are made up of individuals, but corporately, the church has to be a place that looks like Jesus and is tapped into the vine. Okay, how does that happen? Well, let's start with the individual. Let me ask this. Why does someone come to church in the first place? Most times people are looking for meaning and a place to belong. That's good. We can give them that. But once they've come and found meaning and a place to belong, once they've come to Jesus, what's supposed to happen next? Well, they're supposed to learn more about him. That's how faith works. How he'd have us live and grow and serve. In other words, we're supposed to be like branches growing off from a vine. That's pretty much exactly what Jesus is saying here. That's what should happen. But what actually does happen? Well, after we've come to Jesus, after we're a part of the fellowship, we start to get comfortable. And before long, we're kind of helping out in the church. Great stuff, exactly what God wants from us. That's serving him. But pretty soon, church becomes something for us. It's there to serve us. And we want the church exactly like we want the church. And if if we're in charge of a program, we like the program exactly like we like it. And that's when the real trouble starts. You see, what you want isn't the vine. The vine is what Jesus wants. This is a phenomenally important concept. And I have seen churches destroyed by this. Usually there's one person, a church bully. Now, if you think I'm talking about abundant life, trust me, I've been in ministry a long time, and I can tell you, abundant life is unusual. You guys are an anomaly because I don't see any church bullies here. In fact, the most difficult person I see in the church is probably me. I kind of like it that way. Anyways, a lot of churches are destroyed by church bullies because they will create a big fuss if what? They don't get their way. And pretty soon, just to keep peace, just to keep church bullies from going off, we give in and we let them do it their way, even though it's really not the right way to do it. And it's really not Jesus's agenda. Before you know it, we're branches with no fruit. And what caused that? Very simple. We all agree Jesus is the vine, we are the branches. The problem is we say that and we don't understand what it means that Jesus is the vine. If Jesus is the vine, that means the vine is what Jesus wants, not what we want. People say, well, it's really hard to know God's agenda. It's not. Make disciples, build the kingdom, worship the Lord, encourage each other. Simple stuff. It's even simpler to know what's the bully's agenda. He'll come right out and tell you. And that's what gets us in trouble. Let me ask again. Do churches even know what Jesus' agenda is? They better. Once again, make disciples, worship God, minister to people, encourage each other. There's no other agenda. That's it. Every single decision a church makes should be made with that. Is this making disciples, encouraging each other, worshiping God? When a church puts those off in the name of tradition or preference or laziness or fear of bullies, okay, you're a bunch of dead branches then. That's not what God calls us to be. We'll talk more about this next time. Till then, have a great day.